Luke is the General Manager of the Dublin Coding School, a new tech education business currently based in Dún Laoghaire. He's an experienced exec in technology, media and digital publishing, having previously served as CEO MD of 2 businesses in the UK and 2 in Ireland, and managing AI, IoT focus researched business. So without further ado, Luke Tracy, the floor is all yours.
Great. So yeah, as I said, thanks for the organisers for having us. So today I'll be talking a little bit about, well, a bit about me. I've just been introduced there, so I won't go over that again. But yeah, the Dublin Coding School is based in Dún Laoghaire. We're a new business in Ireland, and we've been going since the start of the year, but we're not actually a new coding school. We have 3 other schools across Europe. We're the largest coding schools in Lithuania and Latvia, and plans to move into Prague, so Budapest, Vienna. So we have facilities across Europe. We've tested a model of working over the last 5 to 6 years, where we have about 5,000 to 6,000 graduates. We've placed 70 to 80% of them into roles throughout Europe, tech roles. We're a school for beginners and for adults who want to change their careers and work in tech. So that's what I'm saying here. So that's a bit about who Dublin Coding School are. So we have courses, which are vocational tech training, practical training, and also we have a career centre where we help people on their way to get a new role. But that's not what the presentation primarily is about today. I'm going to talk a bit about how the world of work has changed and what is the tech skills gap and how we can bridge it. So when I say how the world of work has changed, I mean how technology has affected the world of work, and also how it's changed it. I'm going to maybe go through a few industry examples and a few examples of different roles that have changed as well, mind you. So when we talk about change, you always want to think, well, what's actually causing change? What's driving this change? So I was having a think about this, and I broke it down into 4 different areas. Now, there might be other areas too, but I just thought these were good starting points to understand why the jobs world is changing. Certainly changed for me big time. I mean, I would say 20 years ago, I went to London, where I got a job on a very busy sales floor. I was given a telephone and a directory. I didn't even have a computer. That would be unheard of these days. So, but we'll get into more examples anyway. So if you look here, you have technology innovation, or maybe that's an obvious one. Customer expectations, which is, the expectations of the general public and the buyers of services. Also, government policy can drive change, and then natural competition in markets. Now, I'll get to some examples of each of these. But if we look at maybe the first one, technology innovation. So even here, you can see just different communication technologies through time, where you have, sending letters, the post, moves to radio, the telegram, the actual telephone. And now we have the iPhone, which, as I'm sure you've all heard, has more technology in it than put a man on the moon. So technology has moved at a very fast pace. We were sending letters around for a few hundred years, and then suddenly in the last 20, we've got into smartphones. So it's speeding up and getting more advanced as we move. And that, of course, is having an effect on work, because the world of work, no matter what business you're in, is all about communications. You're communicating with other businesses, with your customers, etc. And you need to be up to date with how communications work. Again, that's as the example how phones have moved forward. The large brick phones. You might have seen Michael Douglas in Wall Street doing deals with a huge big phone, but now, of course, he'd be on a smartphone. And customer expectations. Now, this is a more important one than you might think, driving change in the workplace. The people nowadays are a hyper-connected individual. And what that means is, if you think about any individual, they're on Facebook, they then might be on Instagram. If you want to get hold of them, you might send them an email, send them a text, send them a WhatsApp. God forbid, you might phone them. These days, less likely, you text them first. So people are connected in so many different ways all at once. So this example here, if you're maybe even Tesco's or Dunnes Stores or a retailer, the way that your customer expects you to connect with them has really changed. People want to do their shopping online. They'll go on and fill it out. They want to get an email confirming they've done it. They want to pay by card now. Something goes wrong. They probably want to go on a live chat, talk about it. If they get annoyed, they might go on your Twitter and start making comments. You need to be watching out for that. They want to leave a review on Facebook. Maybe you want to send them an offer. You might know that their phone, if you have a beacon in the shop, these are basically connecting to a phone. You might text them an offer if you know they're near a shop. So all sorts of expectations going on here, and businesses have to react to that and say, whoa, what's our social media policy? Because people expect us to be on there. So that's how, and then of course that leads to people being hired as social media managers, a job which, you know, didn't exist maybe 10 years ago. So this is really all about spillover. And spillover means really that, you know, you have an experience in one area and then you expect it everywhere else. So every retailer now that's online almost has to live up to Amazon's speed of service, because customers just expect it, because they have experience of one thing and then they expect it everywhere else. So that's companies having to digitize, react to that. So they need digital marketers, they need to create websites, they need web developers to do that, they need to test the websites with automation testers. And of course, they need a data analyst to be analyzing all of the data they're collecting and how to react to customers. So all of these jobs being created by the simple fact that customers want to interact with you digitally. Give an example of the banking sector. Look how that's changed over the years. It really has, hasn't it? Big time. If you look at the past, banks open 9 to 5 and lunchtimes. I mean, I'm sure you're all going down there and seeing the bank stores closed, going, I've got to come back in an hour tomorrow. Really bad customer service. That's how it used to be. Call centers, if you were lucky. Nowadays, you have your app. You can transfer money yourself 24/7 on the phone lines. They want to get you online with their answering bots and all the rest of it. So it's completely changed. Of course, they need different types of workers to manage this line of communication with customers. If you look then back, I mean, way back, this is to Billy the Kid's time, in the 1890s in America, Wells Fargo Bank. I mean, look at these guys. They're the bank tellers. What do you think was on their CVs? You know, it's all about, I'm sure there's a couple of pistols and two, so security, the counter staff, paper money, you know, the actual building, how safe is it? Safety in numbers there as well, is quite a few of them. Very different to today's banks, where it's all about cybersecurity, algorithms, apps, data analytics, you know, managing relationships online. So it's completely different now. Even in the last 20 years, to say I'm going to get a job in a bank is really a digital job, isn't it? Whereas 20 years ago, you might have thought, oh, right, I'll meet you when I go up to the bank to withdraw or something. You'd be on the service desk. It's not like that anymore. This is just an example of, in Barclays, the English bank developed a payment solution called Ping It, which was a bit like PayPal. If you don't know what PayPal is, it's a way of transferring money to your friends and family. And the reason they did it, though, was interesting. They noticed that there was a disproportionate amount of checks being sent through the post by grandparents to grandkids, and that the majority of checks being sent by post was from grandparents. And they had all of these staff members in the north of England, where these checks were centralized, going through these checks and then putting them in the individual accounts of the grandchildren and having to sort all these checks, which were paper checks. So Barclays said, this isn't good enough. It's costing us too much. So they actually developed the Ping It app and marketed it aggressively to grandparents to ping money to their grandchildren, so they could let all of those people sorting out the paper checks go and just have a few people, a data analyst, a web developer, manage this Ping It app. So maybe a bit of a cynical move, but that's the way things are going. They don't want people managing paper. They want you to use these digital products. So now let's look at the other way. So government policy, how's that driving change in the workplace, you might ask? So kind of use some big examples here, but in Germany, in 2012, the German government came out with this concept called Industry 4.0, which is 4.0. What they really mean there is the fourth industrial revolution. And what that means is, well, they saw that China was on the rise, and mainly through manufacturing. And they were doing that because they had cheaper labor. The Germans weren't going to lower their wages. So they said, we're going to compete with Asia on technology. We're going to be the most innovative. We're going to have the best digital factories, and we're going to compete by being the most efficient country in the world. So they gave incentives to German manufacturers to come up with solutions around artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is basically connecting objects to the internet. So it could simply be a robot telling you he's ready for the next car to come through, so it pings you an email. The robot is connected to the internet. So the Germans really incentivized businesses by giving them breaks and incentives to digitize. which then meant that German manufacturers had a need to hire data analysts, web developers again, systems engineers, all sorts of technical staff to take advantage of this and to change and keep in step. So this is really how they did it. This is just a bit of background about what the Germans would be calling the different industrial ages, starting really with the steam in England, really, and then moving up through it. And cybersecurity is a big thing for this, actually, because these factories are now opened up to the internet. They need to be protected, whereas they used to be off the net and people couldn't get in and hack them. So it opened up jobs in cybersecurity. It opens up jobs in so many different ways in Germany. And it's been a roaring success there, actually. And if you even Google Industry 4.0 Germany, you'll see it. But it's created all of these jobs. So a manufacturing job in Germany now is completely different than what it was even 10, 20 years ago, from 2012 indeed. And it's called now connected manufacturing, which is the buzzword. So it's moved to being highly skilled technical staff managing factories now. So let's look at an example. So competition in markets, how's that driving change? So if you look at retail as an example here, where in the old days, retailers competed on price. So I don't know if anyone's watching here is old enough to remember the bread wars or the baked beans wars, where they were kept lowering the price of bread bit by bit until it was almost costing a penny. And then sometimes they were giving away a can of baked beans for free if you'd come in and do your shopping in their store. And obviously, no supermarket's really winning from this. It's a race to the bottom, and they're having to discount almost to the death to get customers coming in. They probably realized that's no way to compete. And it led to a Mexican standoff. I'm sure you've seen in supermarkets or any shops indeed, a sign saying, if you can find a lower price in our competitor's store, we'll match it. Well, that message isn't for you. That's actually a message to the other store saying, you lower it, we're willing to go there, so don't even try it. So they'll have the same price and they'll compete on brand maybe and other areas. So they're kind of letting each other know, we're willing to go there with you. But nowadays, technology is the battleground. So what they're doing now is competing on connected stores, efficiencies, digital marketing initiatives. You mightn't know this, but there are sensors under all of the shelves in the supermarket stores, or most of them anyway. And what they're doing is letting the people at the back know when the stores need to be restacked, because they're monitoring it. They're also monitoring the fridges to know, are they broken? Is there enough in there? Is the stuff cold enough? And then it pings an email back and someone will come out. There's even some stores that have the checkout lines are closed, but when they sense enough people waiting, if the line gets too big in an open one, they'll ping open and ask for a human to man it to cut that line in half. So very efficient stores working on, again, Internet of Things and connected technology and using data. And of course, these stores now need data analysts, systems engineers, web developers, software testers to keep all of this stuff running. So new jobs, again, digital marketers, new jobs being created where they really weren't before. So if we let's look at the individual roles. So look at the role of the marketing professional. So if you were a marketing manager, if you look at these three pictures, the one at the top, I would say would be the 50s and 60s, and you move into the noughties, and then today you get into, it's a very digital job. So we'll just maybe have a look at the role of a marketing manager. So it used to be about this. These were the key skills when marketing really came of age. I'm sure people have seen this show, Mad Men, but it's really all about copywriting, coming up with good slogans, coming up with ads for radio, jingles, brand association, that kind of thing. And it was really quite a creative thing about coming up with a visual ad or an audio ad. That's what it was all about. Nowadays, it's all about data analytics. It's about social media, segmenting data, getting out different messages through various channels and tracking exactly, following people around the internet with ads. I mean, look, even as consumers yourselves, I'm sure you're aware of how you're marketed too, but it's a completely different ballgame than when the guys in Mad Men were ruling the roost. And then I thought of the film Back to the Future, which was a personal favorite of mine growing up. And you kind of think, if you were to take the very best marketer in the world from 1985 and brought them in the DeLorean to today, they wouldn't be able to do the job, quite frankly. They'd be completely out of it. It's a very technical role here now, based around data analytics and analyzing and managing data and that type of thing. So what does this all mean? Basically, in a nutshell, companies need new skills to keep up. So it's good news really for people on the jobs market, because there are openings coming up and new jobs being created, but they are in very specific areas. Obviously, the speaker before me there talking about Intel, talking about Nikon, technology focused companies, they're hiring. We also at Dublin Coding School keep an eye on the IDA, which is the Irish Investment Group, on companies coming into Ireland. We keep an eye on the amount of jobs being announced, and they're all in technology, data analytics, web development, web engineering, and that type of thing. So these companies do need these skills, but they are in particular areas. So let's look at the tech skills gap. So what does that mean? What is the skills gap? So if we look at, as an example, if we look at data analytics, so that is basically analyzing databases, extracting data from a database, visualizing it, making decisions based upon data. So according to IBM, Big Blue as they're known, the large computer firm, they've said that over the last 3 years, the need for data analysts has grown by 28% globally. That's a big number for a global number, right? And then if you look at LinkedIn, if you don't know what LinkedIn is, it's a website. It's a bit like a Facebook for business, where people have your profile is like your CV. So it's a very popular website where a lot of jobs are posted, and you have your kind of online CV. So they get to look at all of the jobs that are coming through and people. And they've said that this year, data analytics is ranked 3rd in the most sought after jobs or emerging jobs. So this all sounds great, doesn't it? I mean, it looks like there's lots of opportunities there. But the European Commission, in the news quite a lot, arguing with the British about Brexit, but here you have the European Commission estimating 484,000 unfilled positions in data analytics by 2025 across Europe. Now, why would they be unfilled? You're probably asking. There's quite a bit of unemployment around. In some countries going up to 20% with COVID, between 10 to 20. Well, the reason being is there isn't enough people who've studied data analytics and to fill the job and have the skills. So these jobs are being created at an alarming rate, because there aren't many companies in the world now, or in Ireland or in Europe, that aren't using data and have a need for someone to manage their database. But what this is implying is that these people aren't being trained quick enough to fill the jobs. And so what's the tech skills gap in Ireland? So Skills Ireland have predicted a shortfall in computer and tech skills in Ireland of up to 146,000 people. So that's across the board. That's just not data analytics. That's people needed for technical roles, be it in web development, testing, web design, whatever it might be. That's 2022. That's only a year's time. So that's really a big number if you think about it. And that they're kind of jobs that are going, that will be unfilled, is the prediction. And also there's 8,000 plus tech jobs coming on stream annually. And to be honest, it looks like it's more than that. I'm seeing announcements almost daily from American firms primarily, but also tech firms who have set up, their offices here and are announcing expansions. You see it in Cork, Galway, Dublin, of course, but around the country, Kilkenny, you do see these popping up all over the place. So there's a lot of jobs coming through, but then it's, can they be filled? Is there enough people? So what's causing this? So this is an interesting, it looks a bit funny when you look at it first, but if you imagine that this is time moving on as you look up this graph, and it looks like, I don't know if any of you watch murder, really into those. So I watch a lot of murder shows because she likes them. So basically you have here the education moving up as a line, that's the green line. And then the blue line is technology. And what this graph is saying is, if new technology moves ahead or above where the current education stream is, so people aren't learning quick enough to keep up with the technology, you end up with a skills gap. Social pain really means unemployment. So that means the technology moves faster than people are being educated to actually fill those jobs. And it seems to be cyclical. Then when it catches up, boom, it's okay for a while, but then technology will always move on. And then suddenly there'll be a gap again. So it seems to be a recurring thing that a new technology will come out that businesses are using, education and the workforce needs to catch up to fill the jobs, but then boom, there'll be another thing that will come out. And then we'll need to catch up again. And at the moment, it really looks like it's data analytics, web development and software testing are the kind of main ones that you're looking at. Before, I mean, I remember when, was it in the early 2000s when email marketing came out, and that was one. Would you believe it? It's unheard of now that, you know, anyone can send an email. But in those days, you had whole conferences and workshops on what are emails and what is email marketing and how do we respond to it. So, you know, and then things move on and that becomes like, of course we can do that. But then a new thing is it. And at the moment it's data analytics. And probably in 5 to 10 years, we'll be saying, well, that's easy. It's the next thing that we're all trying to learn to keep up. So that's really what that is. It moves on, and you need to catch up every now and then. So what's the solution? Well, there's various things, but I would think a big part of it is education, educating the workforce to catch up, whether that's upskilling, moving from one sector to another, or upskilling if you're already in the sector to take a shift into a different team, and all of that. So maybe I'll talk just very briefly on how Dublin Coding School hopes to help you with that. So our courses are short and intensive, but they're practical and hands-on. So you really use the technologies within them. Focused on the tech jobs market. So we will only put on a course if we see enough jobs advertised in a country. So as I said, we're operating in various countries, but in Ireland, I and my team keep a keen eye on what's being advertised, and then we'll put a course on around that job, and also the technologies being used in that job. And they're live and interactive, so we never send you pre-recorded videos or notes and say, go away and have a watch that, ask a question. Everything is live with a top-class pro as a lecturer. I think there's too many places just relying on videos and pre-recorded stuff. And I know it's obviously easy to present, but I think you want to have it interactive where you can ask questions, especially if you're a beginner. So who are they for? Our courses are for adults. What I mean by that is we don't do summer courses for kids, teenagers, things like that. We want adults who are looking to get involved in the jobs market. So if that's you, then you'd be one for us, or who want to change their careers. They're all designed for beginners. So we're asked this quite a lot. Do I need prior experience? You don't. We train you from the ground up and bring you through. So we train people to an entry level, to a beginner level, and give you that foundation to get into maybe an entry level position in internship. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get you into the world of tech at the bottom so you can work your way up. And obviously some people come in who've already worked in an area and are looking to upskill. We can get them in maybe at the intermediate level. But our value proposition, our main type of customer that comes in is looking to get into the world of tech. And we have students, you know, we've had people from, we had the manager from the super dry stores, the retailer, we've had people from hotels, we've a beautician who's doing data analytics. We have a fully qualified dentist studying data analytics at the moment. And we've had accountants, all sorts of, from various backgrounds looking to change their careers and get involved in technology. People from construction, you know, electricians. So a really wide variety of people who are all coming in to study these topics. The courses we have, so data analytics, obviously, I've been mentioning that. Cybersecurity, that's a very interesting one. So we do the fundamentals of cybersecurity. It's a growth area. There's firms who do it. There's also in-house jobs in cybersecurity. Very topical, I suppose, in Ireland with the HSE hack, but it's an ongoing thing. Also, we have their UX, UI design, and full stack web development. The basics of coding, we can do software testing. So they're the courses we have at the moment, very much focused on the Irish jobs market. As I said, the lecturing team, so quite proud of our lecturers. We only hire top professionals working in the field. So we don't have academics lecturing who maybe haven't worked in these roles, but just sort of giving you an overview of how it might work. We only hire people who are actually working in these companies right now and telling you how to do it. So we actually, from Bank of Ireland, we have quite a few. We have the UX UI designer who's doing the Bank of Ireland app currently. We have 2 of their senior data analysts from the data analytics team. From City Swift, it's their data analytics lead. TikTok, it's the European manager of data. We have Rent the Runway is the automation tester, and also their full stack web development team leader. And Vectra, which is an artificial intelligence company based around security, we have their full stack web development leader as a lecturer. And this is only an example of our lecturers. We have up to 12 to 14, I believe, staff now on the lecturing panel. So just briefly, the Career Centre. So look, when you do the course with us, it's not just about learning these skills off the top professionals. Afterwards, we have a whole aftercare thing where we will help you with your CV, help you with your online presence. We'll also get you ready and prepared for interviews. So if you get an interview, we'll have a Zoom call with you and say, right, what's your story going to be? We work out your career story. We anticipate questions from the company, and we get you going in confident. So, I mean, one person afterwards said it felt like a game, a competitive sport, as opposed to something to be afraid of going into the interview. And they came out going, they didn't ask this, they asked that. I was ready for this. So we really help out our students with that side of it. And we also partner with companies across Ireland, and they let us know when they have open roles and internships. And then we share CVs with them to get our students in there to get roles. So you can see on our website the companies we've partnered with. But also for internships, we've partnered with Scale Ireland, who are an association representing startups. We've partnered with Tangent, which is the launch box within Trinity College with startups. We provide them with interns to gain experience for their startups. Because sometimes people ask, you know, where's the experience on your CV? So for maybe people at the entry level, we'll try and get them an internship. For people at the more intermediate, we will try and get them a role. Just finally, we have a second chance policy. So if you've booked one of our courses, you get to do it twice. So the second time you get to do it for free. You may say, why would I do that? But the reason we do that is you might have got a job and be onboarding yourself and you want to go back and refresh your knowledge. So that's something that we do that no other school does. So that's really there. If you want to contact us, that's the website, dublincoding.ie. My name's Luke. You can email me at dublincoding.ie. And then we're on all the usual channels and we're very active there. We have a great marketing team of, at the moment, Maeve, Paul and Adam, who are posting like madmen and women. So we're very active there. So that was it really. If you've any questions, it'd be great to hear them.
Luke, thank you so much. Gosh, you covered, it sounds like you covered everything there. And it was really interesting. And I like the idea that you can help somebody before they go into an interview as well, because that the best person may still be a nervous person. So any of those skills that can make you more comfortable in front of, you know, an interview panel, I think are pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we try to look at someone's past history. They sometimes say, well, I have no experience for this role. And they're always just thinking about the tech side of it. But they've probably worked in an industry or worked somewhere where they've got communication skills, they've managed a project, they've shown dedication. So they really want to match those skills with the new tech skills. So we come up with a career story where every role they've had in the past has a story that relates to the role they're going for in some way, and have them confident in telling that story. That's kind of one of the secrets of it. I mean, it's easy to say, but then they have to get it right and be able to react to questions with their story.
Of course, yeah. What a great perspective, though, to be able to go into an interview with, like that, stories that you can tell. It's easier to tell a story than it is to recite something, I guess, that you've learned off by heart. You did mention, and I'll say it again, that this isn't for kids. This isn't Coder Dojo. This is for adults. But I'm wondering, is there a minimum age requirement in order to take up a course?
Yep, that's a great question. So not on paper, I mean, but really it's a career change school. So if you were looking to come on board, you just be aware that you're going to be in a class. By the way, classes are limited to no more than 10 students to keep them interactive, and they're online. But you'd be in a class full of people who are maybe in their 20s, 30s, 40s, who have even 50. We have a 60-year-old who's joined data analytics, so who've had jobs and they're looking to change their careers. So they have that mindset where they're experienced in life, but maybe not in the technology they're learning. So we do have people who maybe come out of university as well, but it is a career change school. So look, anyone can come and do the course, but just be aware that it's focused on the jobs market. So that's why it's not really for a teenager, because you know they mightn't be competing for jobs in Bank of Ireland at the age of 13, 14. So there's no point in being ready.
Who can tell the way things are going?
I know.
They could yet be in there as ethical hackers.
That's right. Yeah.
One comment here. Let me see. Joseph Rees, computer science, says, I think there should be more incentives for people to learn in the STEM field: science, technology, engineering, and maths. We certainly need more people in the field, since the industry is moving towards big data, cloud, cyber security, and more. From personal experience, a lot of my colleagues find it quite daunting to step into the STEM field because of maths or science. But I truly believe that having more of these incentives or motivations to get people started will be fantastic moving forward. Fantastic talk, and thank you for the insight. And I suppose a good a time as any to, that's that number you mentioned. The tech skills gap in Ireland next year will be 146,000 people short.
Yeah,
so
according
that's
to Skills
really
Ireland,
big number.
It is, isn't it? It really is. By the way, he just mentioned a point there about people being daunted coming into the area, and mathematics comes up a lot. And you know what? And we ask the lecturers this a lot. You don't need to have good maths. You think you might, but actually coding is a different type of thing. It might be similar to maths, but it really isn't. So if you haven't got great math skills, don't be daunted. It isn't that type of thing.
Yeah.
If you like, it might be when you get into advanced analytics, but to get a role in it, you don't need, you obviously need to have general maths, but you don't need to be a maths whiz to get into this.
Brilliant. Listen, Luke, it was lovely to get to hear you speak today. And I'm sure there's a lot of people watching have gotten great insights. And I'll take the chance to remind people that you can register and upload your CV on recruit.ie so that companies can view your experience and reach out to you during and after the event.